Fresh off a comeback on Monday Night Football, we are here with the Week 2 NFL Power Rankings, including some significant changes this week. And like always, winning and losing and how teams actually look, they matter in these Power Rankings. There will be changes. You try not to overreact too much, but teams essentially will decide where they belong in these Power Rankings every single week. Let's just start off by doing this. Bottom 4 teams, Browns through Giants, all stay the same. All teams lost, didn't look particularly good. Just no reason to move someone else below them. I mean, the Browns played the Bengals close. Typically, teams beat the Bengals in week 1. The Browns kind of choked a little bit. They had an opportunity. The defense at least played pretty well and kept them in the game, kept the Bengals offense in check. So that was at least somewhat impressive. The Saints were in it with the Cardinals. Cardinals a solid team as well. Saints gave themselves a chance at the end. Almost had it. Rattler kind of gave himself or his teammates a chance, when they were driving down there in the red zone in the end, but just couldn't pull it off. Wasn't the prettiest outing. The Titans, not pretty on offense, a lot of drops, a lot of penalties for this team. That really killed them. With all that, they still had an opportunity to win this game. The defense actually looked pretty solid in this game. So out of these bottom 4 teams, the Titans, it's hard to move them up, though, based on how that offense did. They still lost the game. It was still pretty sloppy overall. And the Giants at 29, they stuck around for a little bit in this game, but they had nothing going for them, especially on offense. Defensive line, led by Brian Burns, looking pretty solid, but that was really all they had going for them in this game. So those teams remained down there. Number 28, the Panthers moved down 2 spots, got absolutely pretty much destroyed from start to finish by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bryce Young struggled. His weapons struggled. They still can't stop the run. That was a major problem last year. They got to be better than that. Hopefully just week 1 things there. Number 27, the Patriots go down 4 spots. No, I don't think they played as bad as the Panthers. They're coming from different spots of the rankings. They're still ahead of them, and there's a little stretch in that game against the Raiders where you're kind of going, the Patriots, maybe they're outplaying them a little bit. Maybe they got it, but right in the beginning, the Raiders outplayed them, and the Raiders eventually, figured it out. I thought coaching maybe was a little bit of a problem here. The Patriots definitely should have tried running the ball a little bit more. They were acting like they were down by so much the whole game. They were just pass. I'm surprised about that. Pound the ball, get TreVeyon Henderson going a little bit more, but a disappointing outing. You thought they would have had a little more juice with all those attempts downfield. 26, the Jets, somewhat of a rare occasion where a team loses and they move up. What plays a part of that? Well, other teams just looking pretty bad. The Patriots pretty bad. The Panthers really bad. The Jets actually looked pretty decent, so they're able to move up a little bit and find the spot they belong here heading into week 2. Justin Fields looks pretty good. Is that going to keep up? We'll wait and see, but for right now, he looked pretty good. Breece Hall, good thing they didn't trade him. He looks really good. I like the running back trio, at least the duo. Maybe Aaron Glenn, getting a spark, getting that team going. You do wonder about the defense. Let Aaron Rodgers and that Steelers offense kind of torch you. You did stop the run pretty well. Probably should have won that game. They're a little unlucky. Fumbled kickoff. Ramsey makes a big play. The Jets did enough to win that game, but you actually got to go out there and win the game to move up more than just 2 spots. Typically, when you lose, you move down. So Jets were a loser that was somewhat impressive, though. Number 25, the Bears, just now on Monday Night Football. Brutal loss for them because the way that game was going, the way the Vikings didn't show up, things kind of going the Bears' way. That game, not only they should have won big, but they should have had that game wrapped up at halftime. So, and even then the Vikings kind of spot them a pick 6. Just things not right for the Vikings in that game. The Bears have to find a way to win that game. You almost wish there was like an obvious reason, kind of like the Ravens against the Bills. Is like an obvious reason for the Ravens that fluky things kind of happened and like, all right, we'll be okay. For the Bears, it's like, how do we not win that game? So Caleb Williams was awesome in the first drive. Then just outside of the scrambling, he was not good after that. So defense looked good at least, but it's one of those ones where it's like, if you can't win that one, which ones can you win? Luckily, everything's new there. It's only week 1. They can still kind of get going, but that's a disappointing one to let get away for sure. Division game too. Dolphins probably were the worst team on the week. Got destroyed by the Colts, moving down a whopping 7 spots. It's a lot for week 1, but you heard all kinds of bad things in training camp for them, and it's kind of carried over to the first game. Tua off, Tyreek Hill complaining, offensive line brutal. James Daniels gets hurt. Defense, there was a lot on their plate because what the offense did, but red zone was not great. They made Daniel Jones and company look really good. So the Dolphins, it's a must-win against the Patriots this week for both those teams, really. Number 23, the Raiders go up 4 spots. It wasn't super pretty. Early it was. Geno looked really good. Then there was a turnover, and then there was a stretch where the Patriots were outplaying them a little bit. They got going a little bit more. Both those teams in that game, Raiders, Patriots, I wish they both ran the ball more. They could have made it easier on themselves. They should have got Gentry the ball to get going a little bit more. He did have enough nice touchdown. Maybe they're saving that, and they still won the game. They'll go up 4 spots to number 23. Number 22, the Falcons will stay put. Didn't see a ton of reason to just drop them based off one game. They played a really good Buccaneers team, tough. I mean, you could argue they should have won the game at the end with that 44-yard field goal, but there was a lot of, opportunities throughout the large middle section of that game where they just had nothing going. So with that portion, you could argue, yeah, maybe the Bucs should have won the game. But defense looked pretty solid given it's kind of new, young. So there was some good, I suppose, from the Falcons. So they'll stay at 22. The Jags go up 4 spots. Yeah, they played the Panthers. I want to see more for them to prove something, but it was a dominant outing. I mean, there was before the delay, after the delay, the run game was awesome. Typically, everybody's run game is awesome against the Panthers, but it was awesome under ETN. They trade Bigsby to the Eagles. That was wild. Defensively, looks much improved from last year. They had Bryce Young all flustered. So far, so good. You do want to see a little bit more of a test. So we'll see. They play the Bengals. It'll be an interesting matchup this week. Number 20, the Seahawks. Yeah, I'll have them stay put. I think the Niners are a little tougher than people think, especially that Robert Saleh defense. Mike McDonald's defense still played very well. They had an opportunity to win the game. They were driving down the field, and just unfortunate that Darnold had his own lineman bumped into him, and they lost the football there. But they got to be much better on offense. Expected a little bit more offensively to start the year because it was a little bit of a tougher game plan. But they played well enough on defense to win that game. I just didn't really see enough to have them move down. It was kind of a tough opponent, and they had a shot. They were winning for a portion of that game. Number 19, the Colts go up 5 spots, a big-time winner of this week. They dominated the Miami Dolphins, and I guess we'll learn if it's a week 1 thing or if it's the Dolphins are that bad, but the Colts absolutely obliterated them from start to finish. Both sides of the ball look great. Daniel Jones looks like the right choice. Executed. Lou Anarumo looks like the right choice as a defensive coordinator. Cam Bynum with interception right away. So a really good outing from the Colts. Let's see more of that now to move up even further. Cowboys will stay put at 18. I mean, maybe a little unlucky to lose that game. They played pretty well with the Eagles. Dak was awesome. CeeDee Lamb was awesome for most of the game, but then had some bad drops that really, they probably would have won the game with those catches. Javonte Williams looked pretty good. Offensive line played better than expected. Defensively, they stepped up in the second half. Not a lot of negative takeaways from the Cowboys. I mean, they got to close it out, though. They got to figure out a way to win. Still feel like that's a pretty decent football team. Maybe better than people think. They're going to stay put at 18. 17, the Steelers go up 2 spots. I mean, what's impressive is Aaron Rodgers, lights out. Maybe he's still got it. The Steelers have an offense? What? And, I mean, they kind of a positive negative here. They could not run the ball. I want Caleb Johnson to get the ball more, but they could not run the ball. It's a negative, but for them to do what they did on offense without the running game, I mean, you could turn that into a positive. I mean, they still have to be able to run the ball much better. Defensively, though, that's not the Steelers' defense. They were pretty brutal, especially stopping the run. They couldn't finish in the pocket, in the backfield. So can the Steelers have offense and defense on the same page at the same time? We will see. They were a little lucky to win. You could say that the Jets probably outplayed them by a little bit more, but still a pretty good outing. Impressed by Aaron Rodgers and the offense, DK, Jonnu Smith, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cardinals are going to stay put. A team that won, I wasn't overly impressed. I'm impressed with single players here and there. I still like this defense. They almost kind of blew it at the end. The offense just goes stale so much. They have exciting drives where you're like, okay, this team, watch out this offense. And then it's like, oh my God, it's just so underwhelming. It's the same thing last year, same thing in just one game, but so far, I'm waiting to be a little more impressed. It's only been one game. Broncos, kind of the same situation. I mean, they probably had the easiest situation in week 1. Home against the Titans, who are still rebuilding. Young team, young quarterback, got to go to Mile High and play that defense. And the Broncos still kind of just getting by. Bo Nix really struggling this one. Titans were racking up penalties in this game like crazy too. So the Broncos got to be better than that game when they play tougher competition. The defense, I still think defense was awesome, right? Still think very highly of that defense, but got to be better than that. But there's no reason to move them down or anything. The Cardinals were kind of in the same boat. The Bengals were in the same boat. I mean, for them to win in week 1, I mean, I guess that's a good sign because they eventually get going, for sure. But they figured out a way to win. The defense wasn't great, but I suppose they clutched up when they needed to. They didn't allow a boatload of points, which some expected them to do. Again, the Bengals, Broncos, and Cardinals were kind of in the same boat. All won. I was not impressed enough at all from one game to move them up, overreact to move them up from that. I don't think so. Texans at 13, they did lose, but they played a tough Rams team. The Texans moved the ball a little bit better than the score shows. Of course, they got to finish. They got to score. They got to take care of the football, but against a good Rams team, and the defense looks lights out. I think that could be the best defense in football. The Rams did outplay them, and they won the game, but the Texans were right there with them. Tough ask. I just don't see enough here to move 13 through 16 around anymore. Or at all, I should say. Niners at 12, they figured out how to win this game. It wasn't pretty, but Robert Saleh's defense that's a very solid defense, better than people probably think, and that helped them win the game. And I guess they were clutch when they absolutely needed to be on offense, despite having all the injuries and having injuries throughout this game. Apparently, Purdy got hurt, so I'm not predicting the future. Where right now the Niners, if Purdy's out, Kittle's going to be out. Juwan Jennings might be out, but Purdy might be out this week. They don't look like they're not going to look like the number 12 team. They're playing the Saints, but they're not going to look like the number 12 team. But I'm not going to drop them in the rankings because what they might look like, right? So they're going to stay put at number 12. They just can't catch a break with the durability, with the health, the injuries. It's ridiculous. It's a very good team if they're healthy. They weren't healthy going into this game, and now they're even less healthy. So that's pretty brutal there. The Lions had a brutal outing. Yes, a tough game for them playing the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau to start the year, but they typically beat the Packers under Dan Campbell. So, actually they won 6 out of the last 7. So something was not right at all in this game, mainly on offense, obviously, but just didn't really feel like a Dan Campbell Lions team. Maybe missing those coordinators, so they have to adjust to that. Hopefully they do it in a hurry because the Packers look good, and that division is always a tough race, and there's really tough schedules in that division, especially compared to last year right now. But only one game in. They'll play Ben Johnson and the Bears. The Bears looking to get back on track. They probably should have had a win, and they couldn't do it. So I'm sure both these teams will be playing pissed off. That could be an interesting game, but the Lions are down 2 spots after that disappointing one. Don't want to drop them too much. When you lose like that, typically you drop a lot, right? You should drop a lot, but it's still a really good team. Just got to figure it out here. Can't drop them more than 2 spots. The Vikings are going to stay put at 10. The first half a lot of this game was kind of just didn't feel like the Vikings. The defense was pretty good, but didn't really show up. Jefferson was even off. There's teams, everyone's missing someone, but they were severely missing Christian Darrisaw. Bears were kind of taking advantage of that, obviously. They weren't trusting McCarthy. Then they finally did. He throws a pick 6, and it's just a disaster. They finally get Jordan Mason going, which was, in my opinion, was the key to the game. Before the game, they finally get him going. He was awesome. I think he's a stud. Defense kept balling out, getting better and better, making adjustments. McCarthy, still, even on some successful throws, he was a little off on timing. But, you got to give him some credit, right, to be able to bounce back from everything and clutch up when he needed to. So the Vikings, even though things weren't great for them, they find a way to win. So there's some bad, but there's some good. They kind of figure it out. They get healthy because they're missing some guys already. Maybe they could be something, but it's really on McCarthy taking that next step. I just don't see any room to, move them up from that game, right? So they're going to stay put at number 10. All right, so this one, Chiefs down 6 spots at 9 after 1 week, might look very controversial, but you're going to see why it happened. Well, first off, if the Chiefs went out and won the game, they wouldn't be moving down this much. If they went out and played a good game but lost, they would not be moving down this much. They didn't really look good. Mahomes still looked pretty damn good, I thought. Outside of that, they really missed Worthy, him going down. Single players like McDuffie maybe looked pretty good, but they did not look like the Chiefs in this game. They did not look good. So that doesn't help them there, but you're going to see how they possibly move down 6 spots. It's going to make sense here. The Commanders at 8. The Commanders are a team you could argue could move up because they looked pretty good. Dominated at times against the Giants. There were still some sloppy moments. You wish that on the scoreboard they would have pulled away a little earlier, but I do like that the defense looked pretty damn good because that was kind of the one area that maybe could hold back a really good Commanders team. But yeah, really no room to move them up. So, they weren't going to move down so the Chiefs can stay in the top 8. So you're starting to see why the Chiefs moved down 6 spots. The Buccaneers at 7 wasn't the prettiest game. They were clutch. They played a pretty decent Falcons team. things really weren't going their way. The Falcons were kind of getting bailed out when they took the lead at the end. The Buccaneers still find a way. They're a clutch team. They played pretty well on both sides of the ball. They shut down the run. Not going to move the Buccaneers down from that, right? Thought maybe the Commanders looked a little bit better, but the Bucs played the Falcons. The Commanders played the Giants. That plays a part. Resume plays a part. So no movement there. Teams that, close to moving up. Chargers go up 5 spots. I mean, at the end of the year, you could say the Chiefs will still be better than the Chargers. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I could see the Chargers being better, but right now, 1-game resume, even though the game kind of ended up close, and that's a problem with the Chargers. You got to make sure you put the teams away. But the Chargers completely outplayed the Chiefs. They were just better than them pretty much on every single phase. And I'm impressed with Herbert. Remember, he was banged up to start last year. He's healthy with better weapons. Looks damn good. The offensive line was better than people thought it would be. I mean, it's a good offensive line. They're just missing one. Yes, it's a star player, but just one player. Najee's not even in full force yet. I know Hampton could be pretty solid, but Keenan Allen looked good, obviously on top of McConkey. They have better weapons now. The defense looks solid. It looked like a really good team, and they beat the Chiefs, who are a really good team and who were number 3 heading into the week in the ranking. So the Chargers have to move up. They have to move up in quite a bit. They go up 5 spots to number 6. They'll play the Raiders in that late Monday night doubleheader in Vegas. That one could actually be a fun one. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens go down 3 spots. A tricky one because you could definitely make the case that they outplayed their opponent, the Buffalo Bills, for most of that game. So you don't want to move them down too much for that. They also looked awesome on offense, minus a fumble, and I was saying they should go for it on 4th down at the end. They didn't do that. I know if they didn't get it, everyone would have, been pissed off. But besides the point, they looked really dominant at times, but lost the game. They lost to another elite team. The defense was pretty brutal, though, and they choked that game away. I mean, at least you're going, all right, there was some fluky plays that happened. We're going to be okay. So at least there's a reason you blew a game that you should have won. But they're still going to move down some spots here to number 3. The defense played a little bit better. It would have been tough to move them down that much, even though it's not a lot. Number 4, the Rams go up 1 spot. Yeah, it wasn't the sexiest game because there was a lot of defense. That's what that game was always going to be. The Rams played lights out defense against the Texans. A lights out defense just, helped win them the game. The Rams didn't score a ton of points. They moved the ball a little better, especially in clutch moments, clutch plays, better than people think. I thought Stafford played well. Puka was awesome. Devontae Adams has still got it. They played against what I think could be the best defense in football. Hell, the Rams defense maybe look like the best defense in football. So even though the score doesn't completely show it, for the offense at least, they were pretty good in that game, and it was a tougher, competition than some other teams, but they're going to go up 1 spot to number 4. It was kind of close with the Ravens, but the Ravens lost. They kind of embarrassed themselves on defense at the end, so we'll switch those teams. The Bills go up 1 spot to number 3. I mean, it's a big-time win. You play against the Ravens. That could determine seeding, home field advantage, possibly in the playoffs. It's huge. Offense was lights out. Josh Allen is him, obviously. Weapons look good. Guys like Ed Oliver stepped up, but the defense was brutal. Luck was definitely on their side. Ball getting tipped backwards in the end zone, and Derrick Henry really never fumbles, but I mean, they made the Ravens defense look silly, and they beat the Ravens at the end of the day. That stuff matters. How you look matters most, but that stuff matters. The Bills' elite offense found a way to beat another contending like team. And again, the big part is they made the Ravens defense look silly, and they made the Ravens look silly at the end. Number 2, maybe the biggest winner on the week, the Green Bay Packers go and play the Lions, a really good football team, a team that they only beat once out of the last 7 attempts at them, and they destroy them, and right away you can feel it. Both sides of the ball from the Packers. Love was better than expected. I've been a Love believer, but man, the one preseason game he played, the few snaps he played did not look good, and then he needed surgery on his thumb, non-throwing thumb, and I'm like, is he still going to take some time? And we'll see. It's only been 1 week, but man, he looked good. I was surprised there wasn't more in the running game with Josh Jacobs, but I felt like when they needed a run from him, they got it. They got a play from him, but receivers pitched in, but the defense was awesome. It feels like a lockdown defense that can also make some big-time plays from the front, from the back. Safeties look really good. Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams. So the Packers, the dominant win like that, against a good team like that, you're moving up. Maybe there's some people that don't believe it's going to continue with the Packers. I've seen that in comments on social media and our channel. Okay, time will tell. But for right now, that's where they belong. They put themselves at that number 2 spot. And the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, will remain at 1. You could say maybe they got a little lucky. CeeDee Lamb was just dropping the ball. The Cowboys probably could have won the game with that. But the Eagles looked dominant on offense in the first half. The defense kind of stepped up in the second half. They can win with the run, the pass. And on defense, there was some questions. Outside corner, edge. They do add Zadarius Smith. So I wasn't overly impressed with the Eagles in week 1, but I think the Cowboys are a little better than people think. Remember, the Eagles lost Jalen Carter basically, I shouldn't say before, but one play in this game starting, and that's, remember, they don't have Milton Williams anymore, so that is a big factor as well. I just don't see enough to drop one game in to drop the Super Bowl champions down, but a big game, and I'm looking through the schedule. I'm trying to figure out my picks because our next video is going to be our weekly pick'ems on Tuesday night. The Eagles at the Chiefs. Man, oh man, is that a tough game to pick. Right now, today, I think the Eagles are better and probably match up better. Looking at the Super Bowl, but yeah, something about the Chiefs coming off a loss in Kansas City. Could that be the difference? It's a tough one to pick because what's on the line there for both these teams, but mainly the Chiefs. So we'll see. But there are the rankings heading into week 2. We'll be back every week, either late Monday night, like right now, it's about to be Tuesday morning, or very early Tuesday. Next week, we have a Monday night doubleheader, so this upcoming week, I should say. So maybe next Tuesday morning for this, but we have loads of content every single day, pick, score predictions, bets, and more on the way for week 2, so hopefully you can join us. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on, interact in the comments, follow us on Twitter. That'd be very, very important. A lot of updates there. And we have our Patreon going, our ex-subscribers going as well. That'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.